A mailbag, it's the mailbag, it's the one and only Triforce Mailbag.
Oh my god, another one. I can't.
Yeah.
How many mailbags? It's like 300 now.
I think there's probably been 25.
25?
Yeah.
That many? Jeez.
Yeah, although we did just have apparently our 300th Triforce.
Jeez.
Yes, I noticed. 7 years of Triforce.
Have we been doing this for 7 years?
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god,
I
man,
know.
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
How do we do it? How do we keep thinking up like amazing things to talk about, solving so many problems? It's amazing.
It's because of the mailbag.
There was a comment.
It must
There's a comment
be,
on the Reddit. This is the most upvoted comment. Can't believe it's been 300 years of Sips complaining about raising kids, Pyrian ranting about how dumb people are, and Lewis making patently false statements and then weaseling out the consequences.
Oh, dear.
Oh god.
Fucking hell.
God damn.
So yeah, I
So
think that's-
true.
All right,
everyone agrees
I'll
with
give
that.
you guys. These are the emails that I've selected this week from an overflowing mailbag.
A bulging bag.
A bulging bag.
The bag's been a bulging.
Yeah. So I'm going to read all as many of these as I can. But let's go. Do you guys want to hear Triforce Duke of Edinburgh funnies, big boobed woman's POV, or Jeremy Corbyn's slapping tit?
Oh my god. There's so many different things.
This is like a little taste of what's to come in
I
this
know,
podcast.
yeah.
I think we should start at the beginning. Start at the beginning.
All right. So the Duke of Edinburgh funnies. This doesn't sound great. This guy. Remember, I talked about how my eldest did Duke of Edinburgh, and it was a bad experience for her. So he says he'd pitch in with something funnier. Back in year 10, I did bronze D&V and decided to join a group with the biggest druggies of the school instead of my friends. Suffice to say, I had the funnest weekend ever.
Oh my god!
Nice.
My first time doing weed was this weekend when my team member rolled the fattest spliff in the rain in the high weld. I can still remember struggling with map reading whilst off my nut. Once we reached the campsite, having found the brownies the dealer had freshly baked and hid behind a road sign for us, I spent the night stargazing and devouring all the food in sight. My other teammate decided to do as much ket as possible before K-holing it in the tent, filled with his own sick. I don't know what K-holing means. I'm sorry.
I think it's like a ketamine prison. You know,
Oh,
it's like
okay.
like a multiple hour holiday while you're just off your tits.
So you take a load of ket and you get in a place and just fucking stay there. Okay.
They call it the K-hole. Yeah.
So either way, this guy is saying
Jesus
that
Christ.
this is the druggest weekend he'd ever spent. So
Nice.
thanks for that, Matt. I should have told my 14-year-old to just do a shitload of ket and weed, and she would have had a great time. It's a good idea.
Get your 14-year-old on ket as soon as possible. I think
Absolutely.
that's got to be the way.
Maybe she's just in the wrong group, dude. Maybe
She's
she should-
hanging out with the
yeah.
wrong people for sure. Yeah.
I should have said that. Maybe your group just isn't cool. Do some ket.
Yeah.
This is the strangest email I've ever sent. This is in regards to episode 261, where you mentioned women in public without bras. Having had pretty big boobs since adolescence, I thought I'd share my POV as that woman who sometimes walks down the street braless, size 30G. Please keep Anon. All right, so take the name out of there then.
30G.
Yeah, 30G.
Oh my god, man! That's like pillows. So you got like huge pillows on your.
That's how
sorry
much,
to be so offensive.
That's how much cat that guy brought with him on the fucking.
30G is a cat. When I was younger, I remember thinking there was no way I'd ever be able to leave the house without wearing a bra, simply because of how big and jiggly my boobs are when walking.
Right.
I just need to get some air in here for a second. I have a distinct memory of going camping as a young teenager with my family and another family, having to wear a bra the whole time because there were other men around and wishing my boobs were smaller so I'd have the chance of letting my boobs free. Another anecdote, once my boyfriend was driving me home from his place, while braless, he stopped at Tesco and I remember thinking I could not step out of the car to go with him in case, God forbid, anyone noticed the movement of my unrestrained boobies.
Right.
Honestly, the thought of having to wear a bra whenever I went out in public for my whole life was pretty depressing. Although I have bras that fit comfortably, it's more comfortable to not wear one at all. During COVID, I barely wore a bra for 1.5 years and loved it. I was halfway through the first year of uni when lockdown started, and when I returned for the third year, I'd somewhere developed the courage to venture into the big wide world without a bra. It's a lot easier in the winter when you can wear a big thick jumper, as this does a better job at covering things up. Going out in a t-shirt is a whole other challenge. I do get self-conscious, but I remember reading an article saying that going out without a bra is empowering in a way, because instead of putting the pressure on women to cover themselves up, it puts the pressure on men to not be weirdos. I am very conscious of people looking and literally do not know how to act when I walk past a man on a quiet street, so awkwardly do things like hold my coat in front of me and hide a bit. However, I go out braless anyway because I like it, and it's in some way empowering even if I do it in a cowardly way. Hope that was interesting and informative. Yeah, good luck with those things.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know this happens sometimes that a woman will get home and immediately the bra is the first thing that comes off. Do you know what I mean? Because just they hate it, and I'm all good with that.
You want you want them to free themselves, free their minds, and their titties as well.
Indeed.
Well, it's fine. That's a great perspective to hear. Thank you, Pflex.
Yes.
Thank you to
thank
the
you so much,
person
Anonymous, as well.
Written in.
For
well
writing
done,
in.
Anonymous. This is from Slater, which is an interesting name. My name is Slater.
Well, like AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But my name is Slater, and I'm from New York, from upstate New York.
Right.
So not really New York, let's be honest. I was listening to the latest Mailbag episode where you guys were talking about accidental groping. Years ago, when I worked at a bakery, I was on the receiving end of a very awkward incident of accidental gropage. One of my co-workers was putting frozen bread onto baking trays and had a rack of clean trays behind him, ready to go for whenever he needed another tray. I was in a rush and decided to quickly squeeze between him and the rack of trays. At that very moment, he reached for a new tray without looking behind him. Instead of grabbing a tray, he got a handful of my junk. He then proceeded to give it an extra squeeze in confusion. He then turns, hand still on my junk, and we stare at each other, faces inches away, in shock for what felt like an eternity. He eventually snapped out of it, quickly pulled his hand away, and I scurried away in embarrassment. From that day on, we never spoke to each other again. That's
my God, that is unfortunate. In that situation, I would have completely have been like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to do that. Please accept my apology." Like, you know what I mean? To make it not awkward,
right?
I wouldn't want an incident like that to cause two people to never speak again. Like, that's crazy.
I think it's always like when you hear about accidental groping, it seems like it's always going to be accidental on purpose. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
But actually, in this case, just grabbing a guy's balls by accident, which I assume is what it is. I assume this is a guy.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah. Yes.
And I mean, just like giving it a squeeze, giving it a little squeeze.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cartoon.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, like someone's reached into something and they can feel a face.
What
and
is
they just
this?
Sort of keep squeezing it. Yeah.
I can imagine the other guy was just on autopilot as well. Because when you're doing those like
menial,
repetitive tasks, right?
Yeah.
You don't even think what you're doing. I think a lot of stuff is on. A lot of stuff. It's surprising how much of like your muscle memory is autopilot for stuff, right?
Yeah.
The amount of things I automatically do, like I don't know. Yeah.
All right, so here's one for you. Here's one for you. This is not an email. This is an autopilot thing. It's just me and the youngest Flax at the moment, because Mrs. F and the older one are away. So it's been very chill. It's been a really fun couple of weeks, because we're very similar and we like a lot of the same things and everything. So it's been really, really cool.
You love Ket.
We both love getting K-holed.
Have you guys just been vaping together the whole time?
Just vaping and drinking cider.
Playing Dota. We're very similar people.
Very similar people.
She's a Lena Main, and she vapes 3 vials of juice per day and drinks a 6-pack of ciders every night. Yeah, and then goes in the K-hole for the rest of the night.
Yeah, she's 11, so it's high time she's
of course.
So I bug her about brushing her teeth the way you do with kids. Brush your teeth. And we had a little trip to the dentist. She had to get a checkup and everything. And the dentist was like, brush your teeth. And she was like, I am. She was like, well, brush them more, blah, blah, blah. So then we get home and she's on a real toothbrushing crusade for the next few days, reminding me as if I don't brush my teeth. And she said, why haven't you brushed your teeth? I said, I did brush my teeth. She said, well, then how come your head wasn't on the electric toothbrush? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, every morning when I come in to brush my teeth, your head is not on the electric toothbrush because we got a head each, I was like, well, what are you talking about? It's not on there. And I couldn't tell whether I had forgotten to brush my teeth, which I'm pretty sure I hadn't because I never do, or I have something where I take the head off the electric toothbrush and put it back in the pot where we keep them after I brush my teeth. I could not remember which of those two things it was. And the problem is, when you're trying to think whether you do something regularly that's almost automatic, you can't then repeat it because now you've changed the experiment in your head, if you like.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm brushing my teeth and I'm thinking, do I take the head off and put it back? Or do I just leave it on the toothbrush? I can't remember. And when I'd finished brushing, my hand instinctively reached for the head and I was like, that's your answer right there. So if you tune your brain out, you can sort of go back on autopilot. But it's like trying to concentrate on doing something you do naturally anyway. Like if you really think about walking, it's much harder to walk.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm rambling.
No, you're not. I've been cleaning my teeth. I've got a water pick now.
Oh yeah.
Which I got told to get after I went to the dentist last time because I've had like 4 teeth taken out. Right.
Yeah.
I've only got like a small mouth, I guess. So
I thought you were going to say you've only got 2 teeth left, but yes.
I've not got
you
that
got
many.
that many? Holy crap.
But as a result, like I've got
Lucky.
because I had my wisdom teeth all taken out as well. And so there's like there's a lot of space in my mouth where it's like awkward to clean.
Right.
I don't know why. I think when I was a kid, you know, the people who did the braces on the NHS were a little bit more reckless.
Oh yeah.
Just your teeth. You've got too many teeth. Get these 4 out. Don't need these.
They've got 100 of those to do that day. Let's get on with it. Yeah.
But yeah, like the water pick, it's this super weird, mega dangerous machine that feels like you're shooting yourself with laser beams.
Yeah, we've got one because my eldest has braces and they're very important for cleaning behind the braces and stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, those things they look like a real piece of machinery. Let me tell you something. It looks like the kind of thing I'm kind of surprised we're allowed to own them at home. Do you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you think, is that safe? Like electric mixers, like a blender.
Yeah.
Kind of look at it and you think, geez, these things look like terrible, like really horrifying. But they're safe, of course. Anyway.
And I've got this old instant pot, this instant pressure cooker. That I am terrified of that thing blowing up. I mean, they make bombs out of those things.
Yes, they
right?
literally do. So, we have a pressure cooker, and every time when it's finished, it like you start it going, it lets this hiss out, and you have this sort of thing starts jiggling on top, and all this unbelievable pressure building up. And I just think, if this thing goes, it's going to take us all with it. Like, and we're all going to be covered in metal and bits of curry. It's pretty terrifying. Anyway,
it is. These kitchen appliances, man, they're frightening.
This is from Amy. This is a good one. I hope this is true. I really do. But this is from Amy. She's 21 from Derby. Been watching you guys since I was 11. Well, fair enough. But you probably that's my daughter's age. You're a bit too little for some of these things, Amy. And your voices and faces are unfortunately engraved in my brain forever. Oh, okay. In the recent mailbag, you got a message from a guy saying he thinks he could land a plane in an emergency.
Yes.
And it reminded me of this amazing r/am I the arsehole post. So this is a funny one. Am I the arsehole for asking my wife to respect my title as a pilot? This is incredible. I don't know if this is true. This feels like a joke, but it's very funny anyway.
Right.
I need the opinions of AV geeks and pilots on a matter involving my wife. I am completely serious and I need help. That was in all caps. My wife and I, together for 5 years, married for 2, no kids, have an amazing, happy relationship.
Right.
I can't recall a single time we've ever argued to the point of a breakup or divorce. Well, yeah, because you're still married, dude. This issue, however, is causing me to reconsider the health of our relationship. Since my wife and I have been together, I've worked as a manager for a restaurant chain. I'm an extremely passionate aviation enthusiast.
So not a pilot. A restaurant.
Does this guy have a cockpit in his basement where he plays Flight Simulator and stuff? Is he one of these guys? Dresses up like a pilot?
I guess we're going to find out.
Wait for it.
Okay.
In my free time, I've spent thousands of dollars on flight textbooks, sim gear, and even built my own A330 setup.
I fucking knew it, man. I knew this was heading there.
I have never actually flown a plane or started flight training, but I have considered it for a long time. Even though my skills are not a career, I still consider myself as adept or possibly more knowledgeable than the average pilot.
Right.
That being said, here's where the problem arises. My wife and I were invited to one of her male co-workers' house for a barbecue. My wife is a senior software tech for a COVID startup. She's worked there since 2020, a lucky catch after she was laid off from her previous job due to the virus. It was my first time meeting many of her now close co-workers due to COVID and working from home. I'd assumed she talked about me before, but as we were cycling through introductions, I became less sure.
Right.
We make our way down the line to the host of the party, a new male hire that she has grown platonically close with. We exchanged casual conversation with Greg, host, asked what I do for a living. My wife chimes in with, he manages a fast food chain. It certainly comes with some benefits. I'm assuming she's referring to free food. In a voice that implied nothing was wrong with what she said. I very quickly corrected her and told him that I am a pilot. My wife... My wife already knows how insecure I am about my job and how I'd much rather be introduced by my hobby. I've earned the title of pilot through my 500+ hours on my sim and thousands of dollars put into my craft. I think it is incredibly disrespectful for her not to acknowledge my skills and training. Just because I don't have the title of pilot on an overpriced piece of paper doesn't mean I'm not a pilot. I laughed it off with Greg, told him under my breath that my wife was often forgetful, which I'm sure he's realized just from working with her. He seemed to brush it off casually. At this point, I'm fuming, but I don't go much further than exchanging some nasty glances with my wife for the rest of the night. As we back into the car to leave, the argument starts. She feels as if I don't deserve my title as a pilot because I'm not professional. I told her she's completely insensitive to the work I've done and she will never understand what it's like to study so much. She's currently on the couch as I type this. Am I the asshole?
I don't know if you're. I don't know if you're an asshole, but I think you're channeling some major George Costanza energy in your real life, in not a good way as well. I mean, that is.
Yeah,
it's worrying that you've convinced yourself that you're an actual pilot.
So, I mean,
I play Surgeon Simulator all the time, but I know that I'm not an actual surgeon. It's completely different.
You're not.
No, funnily enough, I would not trust myself to do brain surgery.
No,
after playing.
My Factorio experience does not make me a circuit board engineer.
It doesn't?
No, I don't believe that.
Oh, fuck you!
Pyrion is not a professional warrior.
I'm not a professional.
I don't know. I feel like he is, though. I feel like maybe.
Hi, my name's Pyrion Flax. I'm a swords master and a part-time ninja.
I'm a master at the nunchucks because of all the Ninja Turtle games I played.
I've mastered the arts of fire, lightning, and
yes, I am a wizard. I would thank you to introduce me as a wizard.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that he's an asshole, though. I'd say he's a silly man-child who has basically the outlook and maybe capacity of a 5-year-old. But
yeah, you're right. He's not an
asshole. I think that's pretty harmless as well. But he's really delusional.
Imagine like you were a guy and you were like you had a professional job as a bin man, right? But you'd also been to prison for murder, and also you love to carve.
So basically, you've lived quite the life,
and you sold them on Etsy. Okay, yeah. So you carve little wooden things on Etsy. Are you a woodworker? Are you a murderer? Or are you a bin man? Whatever.
I would say you're a murderous wood carver who knows how to take out the trash.
I would say that you're just a fairly interesting sociopath. I think sociopath is actually the better blanket term for that.
And
person.
I would like you to introduce me as such.
As such, yes. I have earned the title of psycho. Please.
For goodness, now get in the car. We're going home.
Yeah.
All right. This is
Thanks for the email. That was a great one.
Yeah, that was a cracker.
That was funny.
All right. This is from Tom. This is titled Yorkshire Coal Mining. Here are some coal mining stories for you. My grandfather, uncle, and father worked in the pits, all of them at the Kellingley Colliery. They call it Big K. The mine was the last deep coal mine in the UK.
That's what your daughter was doing on Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The mine was the last deep coal mine in the UK, and its closure marked the end of pit mining in the UK. It's memorialised in a BBC documentary called The Last Miners. Anyway, a couple of anecdotes. Like many miners, my grandfather was very fond of animals and kept a few exotic ones as a sort of pit mascot, e.g. turtles and parrots. The house also had dozens of canaries for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
However, my grandfather was most fond of the pit ponies. The ponies would be stabled underground and would only come up once a year during the miners' annual leave. My grandfather would describe them as coming up to the surface with their skin as black as night from the coal dust. They would light up at the sight of the sky and would for a few hours be allowed to roam free and play together. Sadly, most ponies would only last a few years in the pits, but the miners were very fond of them. I imagine they saw them somewhat as their equal, toiling together. If the ponies survived until older age, they would be retired and the miners would adopt them. My grandfather kept a few in the garden and would eventually buy a field for them all. One last little oddity, miners would receive a coal pension. Every month a coal van would come along to the house and drop off huge sacks of coal into the coal shed. My granddad would keep a very hot house as he said he'd earn every ounce of heat. Cheers, Tom. Nice email.
Nice email.
I do feel really bad for the ponies. Having to fucking toil down there. But equally, I feel there's a lot of romance around miners and mining. I think because everybody knows that it's a ridiculously unpleasant job and dangerous, hard work. Especially, I mean, nowadays, of course, everybody's against coal mining because it's incredibly polluting, and it's not good to burn coal, like just chucking carbon dioxide and contaminants up into the atmosphere and all the rest of it. But these guys were the source of power for a very long time. Miners were literally the people that kept the country running when we were just coal-powered everything, and everybody needed to heat their homes and all the rest of it. I think that they're romanticized for quite a good reason. But then maybe it's time to move on from the romanticized view and say, yes, you did great things in your time. People needed you, and we didn't know that it was polluting and all the rest of it. But let's move on. That's my opinion.
God, yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Coal is still this thing, which I think in the UK we haven't used it for a long time.
I think you'd be surprised. I think
it's still used quite a bit.
I think there's still a few days. Well, there was a time when we went like a whole year, I think, in the UK without burning any coal. But it's like used as almost like a backup. I think now, rather than a main source of energy.
Yeah.
However, still across the world, they're still burning a shitload of coal.
Yeah.
It's crazy, really. It seems such an inefficient source of...
Well, not everybody can get to the Tier 5 tech required for upgrades,
Right, no, you're right.
So it's, it's fine to live somewhere where, we're at Tier 8 and we've been there for a long time, but some people just aren't there yet,
Yeah, it's like Tarkov. It's locked behind a quest. You've got to unlock
That's right.
power.
Yeah.
You've got to do a bunch of Lightkeeper quests. Anyway, this is from Lewis, not that one, a different one.
Oh, wow, there's more.
Spelled the same?
A question for the crew. This is a short one. Throughout your life, do you reckon you've had more pints or more wanks? And do you reckon this number has changed over your lifetime? Very good question, Lewis.
Right. So you get like a little head start on the wanks before you hit 18, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was definitely jerking off long before I started drinking.
For sure.
I started drinking at 16 at the local pub
of course.
in
Most
my
people
village.
in the UK do start drinking.
But I don't drink that much anymore. I went through a period in my life where I drank a lot, but I don't think even that period where I was drinking a lot would have caught up with the amount of times I've pulled my pin, which is is still a habit to this day. That persists. So,
it's just a great habit.
It's a fantastic hobby and habit and a great pastime. And I would say definitely I've done that way more than had pints.
I'm not sure, in all honesty.
Yeah, well, you do drink still.
I do drink, so I think I'm going to have to say we're probably running pretty close.
Yeah.
I might even have to say more drinks than
I only
blanks.
really drink if I go out, if I'm away, like if I go to an event or if I visit Bristol or something like that, I'll have a couple of drinks. But I don't drink at home.
So if I go, when I go to Bristol, we go to the pub like pretty much every evening.
Yeah.
And over the course of that evening, I'm probably having 7 pints or something like that.
Right.
6, 7, maybe 8 pints. If the night goes on later,
10,
maybe more.
11, 12.
I mean, I think generally 8 or 9 pints would be about my limit.
Right.
But if it's a lot, if we go out and we get a lock in and stuff.
I think if I had 8 or 9 pints, I'd be hospitalized.
But it's spread over like
I'd be in the hospital after about like 6, I think I'd be done.
I think if you're slamming them, yes.
Yeah.
But, if we're there till 4 in the morning or whatever drinking, it's kind of a steady buzz rather than getting to the point where your body is like overwhelmed. But that alone is going to make up for a lot of
liquid I find overwhelming as well. Like I would just
you got to pee. You urinate.
Well, I'd be constantly though. It would just be the worst.
But bear in mind though, like as you do get older, I guess you wank less for various reasons, right? One is that you have a wife. 2 is that, maybe you're not as horny as you were when you were a teenager.
No,
do you know what I mean?
granted,
so you're always, I think you're building up this bit period at the beginning where your wanks are ahead, but then I assume as you get older and older, the pints just gradually creep up.
Right.
It's funny to think how horny you were as a teenager.
Oh my God.
It's insane to think, like how horny one person could be. I guess it was like just all the changes and stuff at the time. It's weird though, isn't it?
It was all those braless women I saw.
Yeah. It's all the jiggle physics IRL that did it for me.
I don't know whether to talk about this, but I'm going to.
Okay. Always a good start.
So this was like a few weeks ago now, but
oh my god, it's a recent one that he's not sure he should tell anybody about.
I think I'm nearly 40, right? But I'm still a horny guy, right?
Right.
And,
okay.
So I was meeting up with this person, but I was pretty sure it was just like a sure thing. Okay.
Right.
Wow. The confidence of this man is just
I know.
Amazing.
I don't know why I'm telling you this now. I don't know.
Did you turn up to the date wearing 3 condoms? Like you...
one on each hand and one on his head.
Okay, there's a thing where if you've been single for a while, you know, you get used to getting off in a certain way, okay? And
right.
you know, and so I was worried. That I was going to have a problem with like not being able to like get off from sex. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, because you've been jacking off to clown porn for so long.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I can see how this would be a problem. Yeah. Hang on, baby. I just got to put the circus music on.
Put these big shoes on. Put this big funny nose and these shoes on, and try to get out of a small car.
Honk this horn. Honk this horn to the beat if you don't mind.
Oh my god!
And throw confetti on me from a bucket, and I'll go, "Oh, it's water. It's not water. It's confetti," and then that'll be the moment.
So for the week before, I hadn't done any wanking. All right.
Right.
At all.
Building up to the moment. Yeah.
Were you intending to launch her into outer space? Was this?
Was it like a training montage in Rocky, but instead of him doing exercise, it's just you not looking at board really and really focusing.
He's reading books,
taking cold showers and shit.
Anyway, so what happened was we were on this. We had a nice day, blah blah blah, and I started getting like this pain in my balls, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's this? And it started getting worse and worse until I was like basically like feeling sick, right? And it had kind of been coming for a few days, but I'd like felt it and I'd noticed it, and I was like, that's a bit weird. Right. And so I was like, what's going on? I didn't know whether like I'd had like testicular torsion or something, or I'd like injured myself somehow. And so I was like going into my head, I was like, what's going on? Anyway, it got really bad and I was feeling really sick and I had like ice on my balls. Jesus Christ. So next morning I went to the doctor.
You fully put like an ice pack on your balls.
Yeah.
This is like you had a vasectomy, but you didn't.
I know, it was like bad.
Flax probably didn't even put ice on his balls after his vasectomy.
Oh, I did, baby. Let me tell you something.
So I went to this doctor because I didn't really actually go to the doctor. I put in like, because at my doctor's surgery, you can't just ring up and get an appointment. You have to put in like a triage form. Anyway, I just wrote in the morning at like 10 o'clock, I was like, my balls hurt. And do you know
Get this man to hospital.
I don't know what's wrong. And anyway, within an hour, the doctor was like, come in, I want to feel your balls. I was like, okay. So
nice.
I came straight in.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? The guy
no,
was
not
like,
with my hands. I want to use my ass cheeks to feel your balls. You know what to do, young man.
Oh no, it's dressed like a clown day at the doctor's surgery. This
is my god. And so we had a chat for a while, and he felt my balls and stuff. And then and there's an additional thing that I had done because I was quite worried about my balls. I had shaved my balls just to see if I could feel anything weird going on down there.
Right.
So it was even worse. Like,
okay.
Anyway, there's this whole thing. Anyway, afterwards he explained to me that I had heard of like it's called like epididymal hypertension,
right?
Which is
some hypertense ball. Yeah, right.
Blue balls.
It's literally a thing. Now I didn't know that it was a thing. I didn't know this was I'd googled like what's wrong with my balls, and this weirdly blue balls hadn't come
up any more than your balls had.
You couldn't come up, yeah.
But my balls had come up,
right?
So, oh no!
So he like is trying to explain to me what blue balls is, and I was like so fucking embarrassed.
Did you ever get to a point where you're like, you're just describing blue balls here? Like,
yes,
right.
That's what it was.
He sounds like some 1950s doctor. You gotta just go out and get laid. Sounds to me like you want to get laid.
That's what happened. But the thing is, it was the blue balls themselves that stopped me getting laid.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
gosh, not helpful evolution.
It's not, is it? Because like so, I was at once both immensely relieved, but also immensely embarrassed.
Right. Yeah. No, that's
I'd gotten to this point where I was in a doctor's surgery with my pants down, and he's telling me that I've got blue balls.
Oh, sounds like a come on. Sounds like somebody needs to have sex as soon as possible.
With me. Right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, honestly,
the clown nose out.
I hope you found some
just
relief.
a little window into my fucking embarrassing life.
Your
there,
life
guys.
is bizarre.
So the TLDR of that whole thing was you didn't jack off for a week and you gave yourself blue balls.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't realize it was a medical condition.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, this is an email here. Hiya, gents. The topic of swimming pools came up in mailbag number 17, dated 26th of July, 2023.
Right.
And Pyrian brought up the ungodly amount of work that pools require. I spent years working in a sweltering Mediterranean country, cleaning and maintaining pools in my later teens, and it is honestly an ungodly ball ache, much like Lewis's problem. Spending hours sitting by a pool with buckets of chlorides and bisulfate powders, trying to balance the pH levels, replacing motors and automatic pool cover mechanisms, cleaning out crud, scrubbing the pool floor in emptied or filled pools, and so on. The worst part, in my opinion, though, was always the filters. Most in-ground pools have filters connected to them that the water runs through. Yes. Loose floating detritus will be collected in a water-permeable basket or tray, and then the water will recirculate. It's also often the only opening in the walls of the pool for critters that manage to fall in, so it's usually where they end up. I've lifted pool filter covers and had to deal with mice, hedgehogs, insect nests, live snakes, foot-long centipedes, wolf and huntsman spiders, and at least once, whole families of rats. And people just obviously hadn't lifted the cover in months.
Holy shit.
I'll spare you any gorier details, but Jesus H. Christ on a bike, it got real gnarly. Thank you very much for that email. That is disgusting.
Yeah, I thought it would just be mosquitoes, but yeah, like that is... Is he in Australia? Where's this?
He said Mediterranean country, so no.
Mediterranean, okay. Yeah. Oh. That
Jesus.
is gross.
That is gross.
Wow. Yeah, it's not nice being all the chemicals with the pool and like just
they're such
dealing
hard work,
with the Karens who own the pools.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be a nightmare, right? Anything where you have to deal with someone who owns a pool.
I would just rather go to someone else's pool. And
yeah, but they might have rats and centipedes in their pool.
No, they won't. Not if they charge you money to use the pool. There's no way.
True.
Because you can complain and get your money back, right? Nobody wants to give you your money back.
That's true.
They'll keep that filter clean.
Oh, dear. Here's one. This is from Anaban. Big fan and a regular listener from India. Would love for Flax to attempt the accent, but he probably shouldn't. No, I don't want to get canceled. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
On to the topic at hand. This harks back to Flax's review of Kong versus Godzilla, where I brought up a very valid point regarding the logic behind rebuilding cities again and again when there's the ever-present threat of Godzilla, King Kong, or any other kaiju just leveling it in an afternoon. From what I know, the only piece of popular media that addresses this is the Neon Genesis Evangelion, yawn, where Tokyo 3 has enormous skyscrapers that retract underground mechanically when attacked by these big monsters, and can be brought back to the surface when the danger is averted. So his question is that obviously I am a weeb hater, and yet Hideaki Anno came up with this. Here's the thing. I think Japan is obviously very, very used to earthquakes and having cities leveled by earthquakes. Of course, they also, Oppenheimer is out. You know, any history buffs out there may remember that Japan was the only country that's been nuclear bombed. So the whole thing's getting leveled is big in their minds. So it makes sense to me that they would come up with anti-kaiju measures like retracting buildings into the ground and stuff like that, because that's their reality. And they've been dealing with horrible things coming out of the ocean and destroying their cities for so long. Of course, they'd come up with that, but the modern Kong and Godzilla movies have not covered this at all.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Godzilla didn't he have like a nuclear breath or whatever?
Yeah, he goes like blast.
He is just a big metaphor for, nuclear bomb attacks kind of thing.
You'd think so.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think anything like that is practical outside of sci-fi. I mean, you're just saying these buildings come out of the ground at probably a great deal of expense and energy cost. So people can get a bit of sunlight? No, I feel like they just build them underground in the first place, right?
Yeah, you don't want to live underground. They retract underground when the kaiju turns up.
There's fucking kaijus coming all the time. I'd fucking live underground. What are you talking about?
True.
I'd be like paying for that safety in the bunkers.
What a world it would be. It would suck. It would absolutely suck.
What, living underground?
No, I was thinking about the kaijus.
Oh, the kaijus. Yeah, I thought that would kind of suck as well. Yeah. What was kaijus that were?
You guys would be dead. You would have been recruited into some frontline tank regiment and been
No, we wouldn't.
What was that movie that had them in it? Was it it's like Pacific? Was it Pacific Rim?
Pacific Rim.
Still holds up, honestly. Pacific Rim.
No, it doesn't.
It's good.
I watched it on a plane one time, and I don't remember much of it, to be honest. I just remember
I liked it.
You know what? A great film I watched. Yeah, it is a funny word. The film I watched the other day, one of my favorites of late, Mad Max Fury Road.
Great movie.
Oh, that's a great movie. So there was meant to be 2 more, wasn't there?
I think obviously he's not a fast worker.
Right.
I mean the gap between the previous Mad Max movie and Fury Road was like 20 years or something like that. So
right.
I don't mind. I can wait. Writer's strike and George Miller. Yeah, the writer's strike might have eaten into the time. I don't know. But if you watch it again, I watched it the other night. Some of the detail in those shots, you're looking at one, like there's the action sequence towards the end is like everything is told in 3-second shots maximum. Sometimes it's like half a second. Sometimes it's just a fraction of a second. But you can follow. It's so well storyboarded that you can follow every moment of action. It's just continual. And it's just so exciting to see. But in the back, there'll be something happening in the foreground. In the background, there's like 20 Mad Max vehicles, smoke pouring off them, explosions. It's incredible.
I think it's one of my favorite movies.
It's absolutely amazing.
I'm actually building a little, the musical van, whatever. With the
with all the horns. It's like a Dr. Seuss thing.
And he blasts fire out of his guitar.
That's awesome.
I'm building one of them for a Gaslands, because it's like a little miniatures game.
Gaslands.
It's a miniatures game called Gaslands where you
the lads are all
race
over
these
it.
little Tommy cars, not Tommy, like little Hot Wheels cars.
It makes me think of I went to go see Oppenheimer, and one of the trailers before the movie started was for the second Dune movie.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen the first one. I don't know if it's any good or what, but maybe I should watch it ahead of the second one coming out.
I think you absolutely should.
It's worth watching the first one.
I loved the book, and then I saw the David Lynch movie, and I loved it. And it's for its time. There were, like I've said before, I'm pretty sure there were very few good sci-fi movies around. This is not like a good movie, but it's a cult classic, and I really do love it.
Because it's based on books, right? There was the book.
It's based on that movie, the first one.
And then they had the RTS game that came out around
June 2000.
The same time or so.
But I mean, the actual the new one, the Villeneuve Dune, it's really, really good. Like, I mean, like I think I said before, it's a film set in a dusty place, and Mrs. F liked it. She normally hates films set in the desert. She can't stand it. Too dusty, she says.
Right, okay. But she liked Dune.
She loved Dune. Loved it.
Dune or
I recommend it. I say
Dune.
I say Dune. Americans say Dune.
Dune.
But I say Dune.
Me too.
Sorry. Here's one from... okay, sorry. Please don't share my name and keep this anonymous. All right, take out that name. I am a young female medical student in the US. Right. In the US, medical students have to complete
Wait, like real medical student, or is this simulator time plot?
No, she's an actual medical student.
500 hours in Surgeon Sim, yeah.
Right.
Medical students have to complete OSCEs, which are fake clinical encounters where standardized patient actors are brought in and paid, and you're watched on camera by professors who grade your ability to complete a brief office visit without injuring anyone or acting like a freak. In my second year, we had to learn the pelvic exam for both men and women.
Right.
For men, this included an examination of the penis and testicles, as well as a digital rectal exam. My OSCE day comes, and I enter the room and meet the patient, who is a man probably in his early 70s. We do the genital exam without issue, then I have him bend over the table for the digital rectal exam. His butt cheeks to the wind, I put some lube on my gloved finger and brace myself.
Good Lord.
I spread the man's cheeks and poke my finger where I estimate the butthole to be. Just one problem. It ain't there. I start panicking and slide up and down, desperately hoping to find an anus, but I simply cannot figure out where his is. At some point, I realize that I've been slip-sliding in this man's ass crack for far too long, and I have to cut my losses. Unwilling to fail the OSCE, however, I stand up straight, look this man dead in the eyes, a man who knows I most certainly did not just have a finger in his ass, and say, "Yep, everything feels normal." We stare at each other for a while, but mercifully, he says nothing. I did pass the encounter, as the camera could not see whether I actually found the butthole, but I will forever feel the humiliation.
Nice.
Oh, shit. Oh, so he had blue balls, it turns out, as well.
Well,
yeah.
Didn't have a butthole.
No, but I'm sorry, sir, you have no butthole.
It's going to come out in like 10 years that a doctor with rectal phobia was unable to perform rectal examinations properly and lied about the results.
Lied!
Yeah.
Oh man. That's so funny.
That's hilarious. Jesus.
I like that one.
Yeah.
This is another I could land a plane email. You dismissed a viewer claiming to be able to land due to his Star Wars Rogue Squadron experience, which I fully understand.
However,
okay,
good. I'm glad we agree on that one.
However, I'd like to claim. However,
well, I played the superior game TIE Fighter, and let me tell you.
Oh my god.
I'd like to claim that while the chance of success is low, it is possible to land a plane as a random guy in this situation, depending on the plane type, the situation, and your actions.
Okay.
Well, fucking obviously.
Sure. Okay.
If you manage to talk to a controller or another plane with the radio, which you have to figure out first to be fair, and inform them of your quagmire, the controllers will be able to get a flying instructor for their aircraft on the line. There are real-world examples of this happening. The second thing you'll need in your favor is that the plane's autopilot is active and you have it take over. Otherwise, you're probably toast if you have no idea how a plane works. If it is on, the instructor on the radio can give you exact instructions on how to program the autopilot to land the plane. And thanks to the autopilot being on and fuel reserves, blah, 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 you'll be fine. A modern jetliner would be able to land automatically unless the weather gets really bad. So I do think there's a decent chance you'll be able to land a plane. A lot of caveats in this, Emil.
Well, this is one of those things where, yeah, it's possible, but it's the chances are very slim, and they depend on, you know, this, that, and the other to all be true. And you know what I mean? It's like anything.
It's like, can I defuse a bomb if I've got the fucking bomb guy on the phone, and like I've got pictures of the bomb?
It's a waxing moon, and there's no wind that day, and you know, it's like all this stuff.
Exactly.
And I get it. Like technically, yeah, you can do it. I'll admit that. But
thank you for that pedantic email.
Yeah, really pointless.
It's not
really
something
a waste of time.
That everybody is going to do. Like you know, it's going to happen once in a blue moon, and when it does happen, they're lucky that it all went their way.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you for emailing in.
Yeah, thank you. This is an interesting one. Can we help settle an argument between them and their friends? Which is more degenerate? Owning a fleshlight or subscribing to someone's OnlyFans? I claim fleshlights are a superior, different experience, unachievable via regular wank, and are thus worth paying for. Whereas with OnlyFans, you'd only be paying for content you can already get for free. My friends disagree and are wrong.
Right.
I don't know, honestly. I couldn't tell you which is more degenerate. I've never owned or used a fleshlight, and I've never used OnlyFans. I've never been on it, or I know of it, obviously, but I don't, you know what I mean? I would never pay for that. I would never seek that out. So I don't know. I guess both things are equally. I would say
I don't think either of them are degenerate. I think it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not something I do, but I mean, I don't care if somebody uses a fleshlight. I don't care if somebody uses OnlyFans responsibly either. You know, I agree. I don't think they're very degenerate in the first place.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to point out that Jack says, thanks, love the podcast, and then I do not have a fleshlight sign off at the end there. Just
nice.
Obviously, I would have assumed that you did.
Nice,
Jack,
yeah.
Given that you apparently claim they are superior. You must have used one.
What do you think? Okay, what about a fleshlight versus like a big sex doll? You know, the one, like, you know, those sex dolls that are like not the comical ones that from Fools and Horses that are filled with propane, you know, like like those ones that look fucking creepy as hell, and they almost look like anime
real
characters.
Dolls.
Yeah, real dolls and stuff. Yeah.
You have to warm them up in the bath so they feel like they're a living thing rather than a dead body.
I think that's more of a question. Which do you think is more?
Those are definitely fucked up.
Yeah, they seem kind of fucked up.
I don't know. I think in the sense, like, the more prep you have to put in to it.
Mine's warming up right now, as a matter of fact.
It's more of a hobby.
I'm an expert.
I really wish you would.
I just ran a bath for Coco before we started the podcast.
I've never had sex, but I've had over 500 hours of sex with my real doll. So I'll thank you to not call me a virgin. I think the experience.
This is my husband. He's a carpenter. Correction, I'm a sex master. Actually, that's my full-time job. I've mastered sex. I'm a sex master. Zen.
Never had any complaints from Candy anyway.
Holy shit.
All right, here's one. This is from Sean. Just wondering if we have any interesting stories about our times at university. He's a 20-year-old uni student currently studying acting in Edinburgh. Been listening for few years, and when he's closing up the store of McDonald's, which is what he does to support his student life. Just wanted to know, which of us went to university? Did we stay in student halls? Any funny and drunken moments, etc.?
Yeah, all sorts. Some I remember, some are vague. It's like so much happens. Well, I feel like so much happens in those years. You're out socializing a lot. You're out drinking and doing stuff, and it's a weird time because you have these long periods of downtime where you're resting and recuperating and not doing anything because you don't have anything to do other than go to school and study and stuff. And then you'll have these really exciting moments of going out and doing a bunch of stuff and being with a lot of people. But some things I remember and some things I just don't really remember. Like a lot of stuff just sort of blends together as the years pass by, you know? I can't think. There's nothing like spectacular that really stands out. I just look back on it as like a fun time, but it's not like a life that I currently live.
God, I've already told enough cringe stories today about myself. I don't think I can tell
more for another time.
I don't think I can tell more from fucking my incredibly awkward uni days. Yeah,
I don't have I don't have any like incredibly awkward stories from that time or anything like overly cringe or whatever. I mean, obviously,
I've tried to forget them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I think like it was one of those things. I think I just sort of sailed through it or whatever. You know, it was just had fun.
Yeah.
Just knuckled down and had a lot of fun.
I hardly did any work. I really regretted the course I'd taken. I did computing. I hated it. It was very boring. Didn't really make friends with anybody on the course. I went to university with a couple of my mates from Bournemouth and Mrs. F. And the other lads in the house we got along with really well, so we kind of were very insular. In the final year, I think we went out probably at less times than less than 10 times. Because it was just me and my two mates from Bournemouth, and we basically just stayed and drank little lager and watched football on telly and terrible game shows.
You were just in a K-hole.
We literally K-holed it the entire year. It was really shit. Yeah. It was shit. I hated university. But like I said, if you went to a good uni, I was in fucking Plymouth, which is a dump. No offense to any Janners listening to this, but this was in the 90s. It was not good. And the uni was shit. But it was free. Didn't have to pay for uni back then. So yeah, can't complain. And I wish I'd done something I was interested in.
I think this resonates with me too, and so many other people, I'm sure, because it's I look back on school. I don't love it. We were talking about this the other day. Like, if would you go to a school reunion? And I was like, probably not. No, I don't.
I probably would. Yeah, I would.
I'd
be interested to see where people ended up and stuff.
Yeah,
I'd go to one.
We used to have one at New Year's. There was a pub in Bournemouth Town Centre called the Moon and the Square. I'm sure everybody that lives in Bournemouth knows. I don't know if it's still there. And everyone would come back for Christmas because we were still at that point. We didn't have kids and we weren't married and all the rest of it. So people would just go to Bournemouth and you'd see all guys that you knew from school there. That was just the place we went. And you'd bump into people you hadn't seen since school days and be like, wow, this guy's like really completely changed. They're like completely together. They're decent people because they're not kids anymore. Kids are fucking idiots. Yeah. So honestly, you meet people when they're grown-ups, and sometimes it's really interesting. You bump, they've got this whole life story, and they'll remember things that you've forgotten about school, which is always interesting to me when people remind you of something that you did, and you remind them of. Did you remember the time? Like, oh God, I'd forgotten about that. It's really interesting. So I think it's like fills in the gaps in your life, connecting with your past. So. I mean, going back to a school reunion for Bournemouth School, I would go in a heartbeat just to see where half of them ended up.
Yeah.
But it'd be really interesting.
The really interesting ones are the people that, like I'd say probably like 80% of the people that you'd see at a reunion would be much the same, right? Like probably not doing the exact same things, but like still personality-wise, all that, like more or less the same, right? Except they're adults now instead of teenagers or whatever.
Exactly.
But there are outliers to that too, because I know a couple of people that I went to school with who at school they were completely different to what they turned into as adults, sort of thing, right? Like, the contrast of somebody being like what we would have called a jock,
right?
Somebody who was like, the captain of the hockey team and had like, like tons of hot girlfriends and was like like a real guy's guy sort of thing. To then sort of transition into basically a hippie,
right?
Like, but big time, like, like all the social media is just plastered with like fucking spiritual, like motivational quotes and stuff
drugs,
like that.
Dude. It's just drugs.
I guess it is, yeah, but it is that I don't know many people that have had that complete change or makeover from, like most people were sort of locked in at high school, and then like most of my friends that I'm still in touch with from high school are much the same. They just have more responsibility now, but they're just the same people. And we talk about like stuff we used to do, and sometimes we still do bits and pieces of the stuff that we used to do if we meet up or whatever. But yeah, it's the people that change drastically that are the interesting ones, right? But there's not that many of them, I don't think.
Yeah, I think
maybe a handful.
I think at a school reunion, I'm just scared that the only people who turn up are the people who want to show off their success.
Well, I think that's the whole point of it. Basically, is for people to turn up and be like, "Oh, look what I did! You bullied me all throughout school, and now look at me, I'm rich," or whatever. Like,
there's definitely, I guess,
which is kind of funny in itself too.
And then there'll be other people there who were genuinely had a good time at school, and they want to see everyone, or they're still mates with everyone. And so, like, if there's like a group of mates who've still been mates from school, they're the kind of little clique of 5 people who might go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
Just not. It's just it fills me with dread. The idea, honestly.
Well, this is I got another email here. This is a good one. I'm Vic, and I'm 24, and I'm a single woman. All caps.
Right.
I'm loving hearing about Lewis's dating app struggles because I completely feel what he's going through, though I'm no Googleable internet celebrity. I wanted to mention one of my prompts on a dating app and ask how you all would answer, as well as tell you what it's most commonly answered by men ages 24 to 35. This is from her experience. The prompt is, the one thing I'd love to know about you is, and I said, your favorite movies. If you had to pick 4, what would they be?
Right.
I chose 4 because I'm obsessed with the Letterboxd app. Well, I've not heard of it, which allows you to rate and log movies on your profile, and you can display favorite movies. So if a guy points that out, they're already ahead. Please answer for the class. So we'll answer this in a sec. Most of the responses I get always include... Hang on.
No, let's answer first, and then we'll see what the responses
are. Okay, all right. Your top 4
So
movies.
My answer is, I'm not answering that. It's too much effort to write that. It's too long, right? I'm not spending like 2 minutes replying to a prompt on a fucking dating app. Right. Sorry. However hot you are, it's not worth it. And if I do reply, okay, this is mind games. It shows I'm too interested because I've put like 2 or 3 minutes into your profile, like to answer this question in a really deep way. I don't think that's the right way to do these things, right? Like there's thousands of people on these apps, and I know 99% chance you're not going to reply, regardless of what I write, right? So I'm not replying to that prompt.
What about you, Flax? 4 favorite movies, go.
I'm just stunned. Spending 2 or 3 minutes is too much time.
You knew that this would be the case when you brought this up. I do
not want to spend any fucking time on these apps, and I don't want to be with someone who spends time on the apps. If you love these dating apps, I don't want to be with you. I hate them. Sorry, just to share that.
I don't think anybody really enjoys. I know a lot of people who use the apps. None of them are like, oh, it's great, unless they're like literally
if we're on a date. That question is great. I'd love to answer it, but I'm not answering it. I'm not.
So I'm going to give you my top 4 movies. Because, let's hear it. I'm going to say Pulp Fiction. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Saving Private Ryan, and Jurassic Park. Those are my 4.
Wow.
So it's just a kind of very haphazard, ill-thought-out list of good movies.
What do you want from me? You asked a question, I gave you the answer. I mean,
I didn't ask a question. She asked a question.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like
I just felt like Jurassic Park was way out there for a man in his 40s.
Great movie. I loved it. I watched Jurassic Park literally this week. Can you believe it? Yeah.
And did you like it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was great.
It is a kid's movie, isn't it?
I watched it when I was a kid, and I have fond memories of enjoying it as a kid. That's
I watched E.T. as a kid, and I loved it. I'm not putting it on my list.
That E.T. makes me feel sick to think about it.
We talked about how I
fucking hate that movie.
I hate that slimy little shit. Yeah, honestly.
I don't mind E.T. so much. It's when he goes petrified and they have to quarantine the house. It just makes me feel sick.
He is a gross little turd, isn't he?
What were you thinking, Spielberg? I was a kid. I don't need to see that. That was upsetting.
Horrifying. All right, so she says, most of the responses I get always include one of the following. The Dark Knight, Interstellar, Inception, and maybe Shawshank Redemption. Christopher Nolan has an absolute chokehold on guys. It's crazy.
Really?
She says, I can't lie. I just went to see Oppenheimer, and I do love Interstellar.
Interstellar I enjoyed. What was the other one he did? He did
did Dunkirk.
Dunkirk I thought was pretty good too, but not good enough to
Tenet.
I wouldn't put it in. I never saw that one actually. I heard people talking about it a lot when it came out.
So this is one of the responses she got. Hi Victoria, you are very beautiful. My top 4 movies. This is infuriating. The Ocean's 11 trilogy.
So that's all three top slots taken already.
I should have just said the first 4 Harry Potter movies.
But he's counting that as one choice.
Yeah, sure.
Next, the Pirates of the Caribbean OG trilogy.
Okay.
Deadpool 1 and 2.
Well.
Ted 1 and 2.
Right.
What?
I know.
I don't want to judge people based on what movies they pick for their top movies because there's a whole variety of reasons why you might pick a movie to be your top. For me, if I pick like my top 4 favorite movies, I'm thinking of like nostalgia factors and like, you know, stuff that I might have seen as a kid that I really enjoyed. I look back on and think like, fuck, I would love to go back to that time and feel like that again, sort of thing. There's a whole bunch that goes into it, right? So like, I mean, fair enough. If you want to put all 4 Harry Potter movies as your top 4 or whatever, you do you. I don't have to agree with it.
I think you could. I'm just saying that poor guy, right?
Yeah.
He's not getting a date after spilling his heart out about his favorite
though?
movies.
It's such a stupid question to begin with, and like you have to expect the answers to be equally stupid, right? Like,
but that's it. All I'm saying is that guy, if he just commented on something else and spent 2 seconds on it, he wouldn't have wasted his time. Wasted her
shit
time.
Really matters,
wasted our time.
Like it's like when you meet somebody, you say, "What kind of music do you listen to?" and they listen to music that you don't listen to or whatever. It doesn't actually matter.
It doesn't actually matter at all. No.
Like,
everyone judges everything because that's all you've got to go on these apps. Other than you've got their physical appearance, their stylized, their coiffured profile, and then. This is their first
like on paper. I don't think me and my wife would match at all. Like we're coming up to next week. It'll be 20 years since we've been married, and we don't listen to the same music. We don't really enjoy the same movies or TV or whatever. There's definitely points where there's a bit of crossover where like I'll go see something that she likes that I can just about manage, and likewise or whatever. But we're fairly different people when it comes to all that kind of stuff. She doesn't play any games. Like I play tons of games, whatever. But it works. Like
you don't know all everything else when you've only got pictures.
Everything else works.
You might match on the pictures just fine, and then that's
I don't think any of this stuff matters at all.
Well, the thing is, there's no chance to really even know that stuff, right?
No.
Until you've
actually sat down and said,
I also don't want to chat to someone for like 2 weeks. I don't want a pen pal. Do you know what I mean?
But maybe you don't, but maybe you do as well, though. If you're going to get into a relationship, you just become sort of people who chat about all sorts of stuff, right? Like I
don't mind chatting to people. It's not like I'm not like a weirdo. Do you know what I mean? I want to get an idea of that. I want to get an idea that there's actually some sort of connection, but at the same time, like I don't want to just fucking waste my time. I've got better things to do than fucking sit on my fucking phone. Honestly, I hate it. I really hate doing it. So I'm trying not to. And anything that saves me time and effort, do you know what I mean? Is what I'm down for. Thank you for that message, Pyrian. We got to end the podcast because that is
okay. I do have one short one to end on.
Okay, sure.
Okay, it's very short. In defense of Lewis, because I thought it'd be nice to give you a little positive.
Oh my god!
In defense of Lewis, My friend is a huge Man City fan and corroborates Carl Walker being a significantly obnoxious person.
Well, there you go, Lewis.
Amazing.
He's met a lot of the City team, but found of all the team, Walker to be specifically dismissive and arrogant. Cheers, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Holy
Just wanted to put that out there because, you know, people disagree with Lewis a lot. But not about this. Carl Walker, a lot of people suggesting that he's a complete prick. So
this is a relief because it says that my instincts were on that day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've met a lot of people. I've joshed with them. Do you know what I mean? I was watching the video of me meeting Jeff Goldblum the other day. It's very embarrassing.
It is
very
weird.
embarrassing. But it is good. And do you know what I mean? He's not awkward and arrogant around my awkward arrogantness.
Yeah.
It's like a battle of wits. Anyway, thank you, Messenger. And
thank you, Messenger.
Great emails this week.
Yeah, really good ones. Yeah, really good ones.
That was honestly one of the. We're killing it on the mailbags. Regular podcasts need to take a fucking lesson.
Yeah,
take a note.
Yeah.
Right, thanks everyone. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.